Hey folks, Brian Latimer here. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about 3 different ways that you can rig a drop shot. So let's talk a little bit about a drop shot. Why drop shot? Why wouldn't you Texas rig, or why wouldn't you use a shaky head? Well, the advantage of a drop shot is your soft plastic is suspended off of the bottom, number one. And because it's not attached to a weight, your weight is at the bottom. Okay, your weight is at the bottom, your soft plastic and your hook is up the top. It lets that bait be a lot more lifelike in the water column. So it's going to fall differently. You're going to be able to keep contact with the bottom a lot better with a drop shot, and your soft plastic is going to be a lot more lifelike. So those are a couple of reasons why you would throw a drop shot as opposed to a Texas rig, a shaky head, or wacky rig, where your bait just simply plummets to the bottom. The advantage of a drop shot is you keep your bait up suspended. It keeps it off of the bottom, and it also makes your bait a little bit more lifelike, among a bunch of other advantages as well. So those are just a few of the advantages of a drop shot as opposed to some of the other soft plastic rigs. Let's talk a little bit about the leader length. Most of the time I'm going to be using, anywhere between 12 to 18 inches. And the more that I'm casting, the longer the cast is, the longer I'm going to make my leader. When I make that leader a little bit longer, that makes my bait come off the bottom a little bit more. And when you make a long cast, your bait is at an angle. So when you're fishing right below the boat, if you've got a 12-inch leader, when you pull that bait up, it's exactly 12 inches off the bottom. But if you make it cast, because it's at an angle, your bait may only be 3 or 4 inches off the bottom. So you need a little bit longer leader just so you get a little bit more clearance off the bottom. As far as weight sizes, I almost always use a 3/16 ounce sinker. Sometimes I'll go to a quarter, but those are the 2 sizes that get me through pretty much every situation I need to. If it's really windy out, or if I really need to get the bait down a little bit faster, I'll use a little heavier weight. But predominantly I'm going to use a 3/16 and a 1/4 ounce sinker on my drop shot. So when you're looking at your drop shot, there's 3 ways that I like to rig my drop shot. This is a Texas rig drop shot. You got your weight at the bottom. I got about an 18-inch leader going up to the top, and then this is just a 1/0 straight shank hook, and I'll use whatever soft plastic. Most of the time I'm going to use a straight tail soft plastic when I'm drop shotting, whether that's a stick bait or just a normal straight tail worm. The second way that I like to use a drop shot, which is the most traditional way, is just nose hooking in soft plastic. Same size leader here, 18, 24-inch leader. I've got a #1 owner mosquito drop shot hook, and this is just a minnow style bait. This is a Z-Man Streaks 375 here, and that's one of my favorite baits to nose hook. When you nose hook that bait, the bait's really free to have a lot of action. It's very lifelike in the water. It's going to hang up a little bit more than the Texas rig will. This is the traditional way to fish a drop shot. Perhaps my most favorite is called the wacky shot. Wacky shot, I'm still going to use the same size leader here. This is perhaps just a little bit shorter, and I'm going to use typically a little bit bigger hook when I'm wacky shotting, depending on the bulkiness of the plastic. If it's a more bulky plastic, then I'm going to use a little bit bigger hook, a little bit bigger gap. But this is a 1/0 owner mosquito hook, and just a 4-inch finesse worms wacky style, and just a great bait to use. As far as my line sizes, I don't really vary my line size a whole lot. Typically this is a finesse tactic. However, you can beef up your equipment to do some heavier style drop shotting. But typically I'm going to be anywhere between 8 and 12 pound test line when I'm drop shotting. I always use braid to fluoro when I'm drop shotting. I like having that little extra sensitivity. I like the extra hook setting power that I get with braided line, and it also casts a little bit farther when I'm using braided line on my spinning reels. I always use spinning equipment when I'm drop shotting. I just think it's the best thing to use for drop shotting if I can get away with it. If I'm fishing in really heavy cover, I may switch to bait casting equipment, but I almost always use spinning equipment. The rod that I use is a 7-foot medium heavy jackhammer from Favorite Rods. I use that rod for just about everything. In my opinion, it's probably the most versatile spinning rod on the market. I paired that with the 3000 series spinning reel, 15-pound test smackdown braided line tied to 8-pound Invisex 8 to 12-pound test Invisex fluorocarbon line, and you're ready to get out there and start drop shotting. So I hope those tips will help you guys out and gain you some confidence in drop shotting. It's an excellent way to put a lot of fish in the boat. I don't care what the water clarity is or where you are in the country or what style of body of water you fish. A drop shot is a great way to catch fish. So get out there and experiment with your plastics and your setups and see what works best for you.